Nacho, Nacho Man, yeah. I got to be a Nacho Man, got to be a Nacho Man. I got to be a Nacho Man.
Welcome, Vault Dwellers. My name is Nacho Bidness, and you join me today outside of Berkeley Springs Station. We're continuing our series that I'm calling Is It Worth It? We're looking at the most expensive items in the game when it comes to the caps required to purchase those or the time required to grind those items out. Last video was on the decontamination shower, and I haven't decided yet what the next video is going to be. If there is a topic that you would like me to cover, please leave a comment down below. I would love to hear from you. Today we're going to be taking a look at legendary Scrip, which is of course why we're at Berkeley Springs Station. After all, this is where the Purveyor lives. You can turn in legendaries across the wasteland at pretty much any train station, but only here can you buy legendaries. Of course, as many of you probably already know, those are random drops. I have seen a number of videos complaining about the quality of the drops that you get from the Purveyor. Now, unfortunately, you do join me in the middle of a bit of a disaster, because I already spent all of my legendary Scrip, and then the video file got corrupted. Which means, of course, that I won't be able to show you exactly what goes on while I was spending that Scrip, and yet I think we can draw some conclusions about the results. After all, I don't know that necessarily watching me pull the handle on a roulette machine, more or less, is compelling viewing, but hearing about how I did overall might be. When it comes to what people are getting, I think there might be something that we're overlooking, because there are two stats that I think may impact what we get from the Purveyor, and it may explain why I feel like my results were overall much better than what many other people have described. Because charisma affects quest rewards. Now, does charisma affect the Purveyor? I don't know. Charisma also affects barter prices. Again, does that impact the quality of what we get from the Purveyor? I don't know. Luck, on the other hand, impacts all kinds of random chances across the waste, including weapon drops and the quality of weapon drops, and that makes me wonder if perhaps luck might have an impact here. So the reason why I'm wearing this kind of goofy set of armor is that this is my set of unyielding armor. I prioritize low weight over anything else when it comes to unyielding, because for the most part, my unyielding armor sits in my stash box. So whenever I get a new piece of unyielding, I compare it to what I already have, and if that piece is lighter than the piece that I have for that limb, I keep that and scrap the other. After all, since it mostly sits in my stash box, I want it to take up as least space as possible. So I don't really care about how many stars it is or what the damage resistance is. I'm not doing a bloody build, but I do pull out my unyielding when I am going to buy something very expensive, like a serum recipe or a power armor modification plan. And I thought it would be worthwhile to try out pulling out my legendary unyielding for this particular enterprise. I will show you that at the moment I have a charisma of 19 and a luck of 28. I did pop an excel before I started with buying my legendary items, and so I had charisma of 21 and luck of 30, and it did seem to help. I wasn't going after guns. I already feel like I have the right guns for this character. I've got an instigating Gauss rifle, an instigating plasma rifle, a couple of two-shot explosive guns, and I don't really do melee. So, with the exception of every once in a while, I'll pull out the gunner for like a rat roach or something. And what that means is that I went after armor, and a lot of people would complain that they would get a lot of pieces of wooden armor. They would complain that they would get bad effects, and they would complain that it was wood armor, and so essentially worthless. I have to say that overall, I am fairly happy with the types of armor that I got. For the most part, I got Marine and Scout armor, which are great armors to have. The effects were hit and miss, and yet I didn't at any point get a piece of armor that I felt was completely worthless. Some of these things I will probably take back to my camp to sell. Other pieces I'm going to take back to my camp, see what I can do with them at the armor workbench, and just do some evaluation on whether or not I'm going to keep those pieces and substitute them for my everyday wear. I'm also going to have to come back and do this again because I've got a lot of pieces to turn in for additional scrip to try and re-roll. It takes 60 scrip to buy a piece of 3-star legendary armor, and when you turn that in you get 24, so it really only costs me 36 scrip every time I want to re-roll. So I am going to have to cut the video here because the machine's out of scrip. I have to wait till tomorrow before I can try again, but I'm going to be back here in a moment with some final results and some final thoughts. Alright, we're back after about a week, and it's sunset. Sunsets in this game, I still think, are pretty. So, after about a week of going to the Purveyor and buying 3-star legendary gear, and then turning in the stuff that I didn't want, I ended up with 3 new pieces of armor. And in fact, I have an almost complete set of 3-star legendary marine armor. I have one leg that's only a 2-star, and I just never found a replacement that had better effects than the chameleon and the agility that it had on it. I do have a very nice 3-star left arm, but I'm using this robot piece of armor because it lets me do something kind of cool. You may not be able to see it, but I'm still using my shielded vault suit. As soon as I find the plans to make the marine armor shielded, I will probably upgrade to the marine wetsuit and make that shielded. Finally, my helmet here. I just never cared for the marine wetsuit helmet, so I am sticking with my little iBot helmet there. And finally, I've got a new skin for my backpack because I think this looks a lot better with the armor that I'm using. Of course, I could still put an outfit over all of this and hide it, but at this point, man, I got a complete set of marine armor. That's pretty great, right? Plus, I can do this new thing, which is whee. The reason why I'm using the robot left arm is because it complements the other piece of armor that I had that has a 50% damage reduction for fall damage. So that means that I can jump off of any high object that I want without having to mess around with getting the power armor out and putting that on, which is pretty sweet. So let's answer the question that this video originally set out to answer. is it worth it to save up and use Scrip rather than sell your legendaries to other players? And I think the answer is a qualified yes. If you need caps, go ahead and try and sell your legendaries to other players. Just don't expect players to pay high prices for crap legendaries. We'll get into that in another video. However, if you've got plenty of caps, then I think that it is worth your time to get the Scrip and sell to the legendary exchanges and buy from the Purveyor, but only if you maximize your charisma and maximize your luck. I don't know which stat it is, but I am certain that they have an effect on what we receive from the Purveyor. And the reason why I am certain is because after looking at dozens of pieces of 3-star legendary armor from the Purveyor, I received the majority of those pieces as either marine armor or combat armor. Most of them had not so great effects. But still, lots of 3-star marine and combat armor. I got a very few pieces of legendary metal armor and a couple pieces of Raider armor. What I did not receive was I did not receive a single piece of wooden armor. I did not receive a single piece of leather armor. And I think that definitely shows that our stats do, in fact, have an impact on what we receive from the Purveyor. After all, I received 3 pieces of usable armor in less than a week, which at this point for me is unprecedented. I've been playing this game long enough that I've fairly well settled into the things that I have, and there are very few times where I stumble across a piece of equipment that is better than what I already had. My total damage resistance, 181, energy resistance, 144. Not as high as they potentially could be with some other sets of armor, but I really liked the overall set that I got with the marine armor as far as the legendary effects that I received. I also still have one left leg that's only a 2-star. Fortunately, it's chameleon, and my new right arm is also chameleon, which means that as soon as I find a good 3-star legendary left leg, I'll be able to swap that out no problem. And so that's it. That is my take on the Purveyor and whether or not the time and effort is worth it for Scrip. If you are trying to sell to other players, then set fair prices. We'll talk about that in another video, but don't expect people to pay good money for crap legendaries. And if you have plenty of caps, then definitely take the time to take advantage of the Purveyor, but do it smart and maximize your charisma and your luck before you do. Hope you found this information useful. If you did, please hit the like button down below. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. And if you did not like, please tell me why in the comments so that I can try and do better for you next time. Until next time, my name is Nacho Bidness, and I'm saying it's a great big wasteland out there. Let's go have fun in it, and I'm going to go and explore this random person's camp and see what they might have for sale.